My dad's petty Christmas revenge on his snobby sister. My dad and his older sister Linda have a complicated relationship. She is essentially everything he is not. Linda and her husband Mark live in a massive house with 6 bathrooms and a heated pool. Meanwhile, my dad is disabled and struggles to pay his bills every month. Despite this, my dad has an amazing sense of humor and stays positive, whereas Linda has turned into a snobby person who looks down on everyone. Christmas is always the hardest time because she gets weird about gift giving, spending hundreds on presents and acting disappointed when my dad gives her something from a regular store. One Christmas, my dad was at a charity shop looking for a gift. He had roughly £20 to spend, which isn't much, but then he spotted 2 animatronic singing dogs on a shelf. They were vintage items from the 80s. When you pressed a button, they would sing a cheesy Christmas song while their heads bobbed and their mouths moved. My dad, my sister, and I were cracking up in the store because they were so ridiculous. Dad knew Mark would think they were hilarious too, as he's actually pretty cool compared to his wife. Dad bought them for £5 and wrapped them up nicely. On Christmas Day, we drove to Linda's enormous house full of chandeliers and marble. When Linda and Mark unwrapped the dogs, Mark absolutely lost it. He was laughing so hard he could barely breathe as the dogs performed. Even their cat went crazy trying to attack the singing toys, which made the rest of us laugh even harder. However, Linda had a fake smile plastered on her face like she was in physical pain. She kept muttering about not having anywhere to put them, despite having a house with rooms she doesn't even use. After an amazing day, we drove 2 hours back home. When we unpacked the car, we noticed something strange. The singing dogs were in our backseat. We realized Linda had snuck them into our car when nobody was looking, literally returning our gift behind our backs. My sister and I were hurt, but my dad just laughed and said, "Typical Linda." A few days later, my dad's girlfriend received an expensive beauty gift set in a fancy box with gold lettering. Dad got a mischievous look in his eye and asked for the empty box. He disappeared into his room for 1 hour and came out with a box wrapped and addressed to Linda. Inside were those 2 singing dogs and a note. A week later, Linda called Mark, and while we don't know exactly what she said, Mark was clearly muffled by laughter. She had opened the fancy box expecting luxury products, only to find those ridiculous dogs staring back at her. The note my dad wrote simply said, "A dog is for life, not just for Christmas." Linda never brought up the dogs again, and she certainly never snuck a gift back into our car.